not an off-season episode without a rumor in particular. So according to a popular Twitter account at NFL Rooms, which has been known from time to time to report some factual information and some reports, but never sourced really. But again, they reported that the Chiefs are considered a trade partner for the Eagles' Dallas Goedert. The Eagles are apparently shopping him right now and trying to trade him. You've seen a lot of Sports Illustrated, a lot of mock trades. Have actually had us getting Dallas Goedert, which is interesting. So, Jay, we talk about this potentially being Kelsey's last year, his swan song of a season, his farewell tour. What are your thoughts on the Chiefs making it? We talk about possibly drafting a tight end. And then on the other hand, what do you make of the Chiefs potentially trading for a veteran tight end, a guy who just turned 30, like the last month, I believe? What do you make of this Dallas Goedert potential rumor?
Is he 30 or is he going to be 31? Either way.
Just turned 30.
Okay. I don't know. I like Dallas Goedert. He's a great tight end. Does everything well. Had some obviously some injuries in the past. I mean, he's at 30, maybe you get a younger guy. I think maybe going that route, because when his time comes up for contract, he'd be looking for top money, as he should. So, do you want to invest in something like that, or are you same thing? Are you trying to find you a bargain? Can you find a young guy in college that can remotely do some of the things that Travis can do? Noah Gray and Jarrett Wiley out here. That's going to be on the team. There's some talented guys in the draft. You can go. But that's why I was all in on trying to get what's the name of here last year. I like, man, we need to move up to get him.
Oh, Bowers.
Yeah, I was like, hey, shoot, if you want that, there's your heir apparent, if that's what you want to do. It's interesting. I think this next segment on Monday, I think we should talk about tight ends. I think we should start bring some tight ends up and some names and whatnot.
Let's do it. I mean, I did Elijah Arroyo a couple weeks ago.
You did. I'll tell you somebody that I like, who's more of like 6th or 7th rounder, but can catch the football, runs pretty good routes, athletic. Gatson. He's with Syracuse, if I'm not mistaken. And he's more of a pass catching tight end. He's got NFL ties, but I think for what you want, shoot, you can bring a guy like that in who can run routes, goes up with his hand very strong. I think it's that's what's required more in this offense now, right? Guys kind of getting open, feeling their way, doing all those different things. When we were sitting there talking about Kyle Pitts getting here, I thought that might have been a hell of a deal to do. I would have went Kyle Pitts. Rondé. Yeah, Tage know what I'm talking about. Yes, sir. But I think Kyle Pitts would have been a nice move, getting a guy like it here. Now, I would have paid a Kyle Pitts. Okay, sure. Got him. He's young. Few years. Definitely would have picked up him without a doubt. So, but let me start here. Okay, let me pull back. If we're trying to chase somebody that has the same cachet and things like that Travis Kelsey gets, it's going to be a hard find. It is. Unless you're getting guys that already produce at that level, have proven it, then it's gonna be tough. Goddard, yeah, but he's older. Cal Pitts, without a doubt, I don't think he's had a fair shot. Again, they haven't had a Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball to him and let him get open to do what he wants to do. Man, and he wouldn't be able to unlock him to get 100 balls a game. or year season. I'm sorry, without a doubt. So I think that's what you have to be. Other than that, man, if you go into the draft to get a guy, man, be happy if you get a guy that's going to be able to catch 60 balls, 60. He gets 70 for you, daggone. You done found it. You done found it. So Travis Kelce is one of those one in a lifetime type of guys out there, tight end wise. That's just a reality, man. He is. So
What do you make? So the whole Goddard thing is kind of crazy to me, but I was kind of looking more into it, right? I mean, Eagles are paying a lot of guys a lot of money. Goddard wants that payday, and so that's why they'd be willing to trade him. But so he's 30 next year. He's going to turn 31. If he were to come and kind of replace that, like with that Travis Kelce void, so like Kelce's contract, well, Goddard's probably not going to get with Kelce money. He would kind of take a little bit of that, so he would kind of go into that contract they would give him with that. You give him a 3-year deal, 30. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, you want to get younger, but it wouldn't make the because I want to do that with Evan Ingram, and I thought Evan Ingram was going to get paid as much as Goddard, and he didn't get paid that much. But I wanted to do that with Ingram. I wanted to pick him up and then kind of like give him some money to kind of fill that Travis Kelce void because I think Evan Ingram fits this offense like a glove. I mean, he dominated with Doug Peterson's offense, which is kind of like a hybrid of this offense. So like that made sense. Goddard I think is a great tight end. I just don't know, his athleticism isn't Evan Ingram's athleticism by any means, but he's a solid tight end. I do like Goddard, but I thought it was interesting. And yeah, he is 30. I thought he was younger too, and I kind of dove into it a little bit more. He's 30 years old, man. He's not a spring chicken by any means. And he has more injury problems. If you look at his past, more injury concerns than Kelce even does at his age, which is crazy.
Yeah. If I think he's athletic enough to get open. I mean, we've seen his production. We know Dallas Goedert is a good tight end. Not taking anything away from him whatsoever. The difference between like Travis Kelce and some of these guys, and Taylor's bringing up a point. If a slot wide receiver brings that skill set up to Kelce League, then so be it. You're looking more for kind of the bigger guy to fit that mold. The reason you have tight ends, why tight ends are so valuable, is because they're there to do it all. Really, they are. Travis Kelce came out there and he was able to block his tail off. So if you have a guy that can block in line or block a linebacker or a safety, you want that guy. And sometimes wide receivers are not willing to do it. They're just not. Okay, they just don't have. They just ain't got him in them. They ain't did it. So that's why, like, when you look at Gesicki was a guy that, hey, you know what? Let's get him out there, let him run routes, catch balls. Gesicki wasn't going to touch his soul. Wasn't going to do it. And the reason he's been going to different teams is because of that. I'm just going to be honest. So you need a guy. The skill set for tight ends is not just catching a football. We need for you to block too. You have to at that position. Why? Because that is part of your skill set. That gives you an advantage. You need somebody to hit the big boys that's in there, like linebackers and safeties. You need that. Or maybe crack down on defensive end. You need some of those things. Or lead up in the hole if you need. So that's why we don't want to get away from just finding guys, because teams could have done that already. They could have just got a guy and just make him a slot and just do all those different things. But I think you kind of limit your offense when you do that. That's why, like I said, Kelce was so valuable. That's why you see Gonzalez was so valuable. That's why you see Gronk and those guys are so valuable. McBride and those dudes, right? So Laporta, these jokers, they don't mind putting their nose in and getting busy when you need them for them to do. They're big bodies, and big bodies in itself create a mismatch. Kittle, another one, dog out there. Dog gives fits in the run game and the pass game. Those things you want. You want a guy out there like that. You want to get out there like that. So,
Drew Burchett.
Go ahead.
No, I was saying what Drew Burchett said here. Travis said in his podcast that he would have no problem with him drafting a newbie. And he would help mentor / train them. Obviously, yeah, he's been a great mentor for all the young guys we've had since he's been here. And if they do draft another one, he'll just do the same thing as he's always done for guys like Jody, Noah Gray, all the young bucks we've had come and go during the Kelsey era. Professional, man.
No, look, I mean, shoot, that's what he should do. Look, I told you, most guys like that, you played, you don't mind helping a young guy. And if the writing's on the wall, like, hey, man, like, yo, you need to help this young guy out. So we could tell that's Travis Kelce's character. We know that. Wouldn't be an issue. But that's why I think you look for a guy that you could bring him in, that has their skill set, Tasia that say God is scared. On the ground as fuck.
Yeah, Tasia, do you have any Goedert's character concerns from when he came out a couple years ago? And Tasia wants you to look at Jack Beck's blocking, wide receiver who blocks like a tight end.
Jack Beck, who's he? I'll look him up. I had to check him out, see what he is.
Taja's character concern for Dallas Goedert would be him wanting too much money.
Yeah.
Barbershop really wish Jody Fortson could have worked out. He had a lot of potential. Yeah.
Yeah. But then, you're trying to make a wide receiver into a tight end, and then quite, you have flashes, man. I wish it worked out too. I was a big Jody fan watching him out there. But sometimes you asking them to do some of the dirty work. If the guys ain't willing to do the dirty work, you can't really put you out there. So,
and it also kind of goes to the point where you say like the dirty work and the physicality aspect, because like it's one thing to say you can put this guy in this body in this frame at tight end, but yeah, injuries are flukes and they happen. But like it's a different animal playing tight end to receiver. You got to get your hands dirty, like you said, and that's where you start to see shoulder injuries, different types of injuries that happen because it ain't for the weak.
It's not, and the Joker's sitting over there and he's getting in a little frog stance, and he ain't gonna hit this Joker square in the face. Yeah, man, get out of here, get out, get somebody else in here, okay? Somebody's willing to do it, and that's why that goes to like Gesicki and all those guys. That hey, man, yeah, you can catch a football. Sure, they have several guys played at BYU and all these other places and whatnot. Can catch the daggone football, get open. But if you ask him to go in and be a sledgehammer, no sir. I don't want no part of that smoke. Zero part of it. So,
speaking of tight end, you were kind of a fan of Robert Tonyan, and we brought him back. I mean, I know we're talking about drafting or signing a guy, but maybe they just like who they have in the room right now. That maybe they're just saying they're kicking the can. Maybe we don't have to get a tight end. They brought back Tonyan. I believe they brought back, who was the tight end we had? Ferkser. I mean, I don't think Anthony Ferkser is going to do much, but Robert Tonyan actually has a history, and you can actually point to what he used to do with the Packers only a couple of years ago. So I mean that could be someone that would be a sleeper for the tight end room this year.
Yeah, but Hendershot is still here, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think Hendershot is still here. I thought he showed a lot of moxie out there. I liked him a lot.
Yeah, I do like I liked his aggression for sure. Yeah, he was he's still with the Chiefs, yep.
So all these guys are learning. But that's why I think, man, do I have a tight end up there? I don't have one, do I? Nope.
Not yet. What do you think about the tight end? So obviously we talked about Elijah Roy. We'll get into him on Monday. Maybe a little preview of what we're going to talk about on Monday. But there's I just had a tight end list up here a second ago. Sorry. Okay. So you got Warren, the Penn State dude. Everyone's saying is the next Kelsey, which you and I watched his highlights. We don't think he's the next. There's no Kelsey movement there, other than the fact that he played high school quarterback. And as a tight end, that's the only Kelsey comparison that I could draw from.
Well,
Well,
he's
you got
athletic, man. He can play ball. I like him a lot.
really you're a big Ty Warren fan now?
Yeah. No, I like him. Yeah.
Okay.
But but when we start putting names with guys, like, hey man, come on. Like,
Yeah.
he's a hell of a tight end. He's gonna be really good.
So Warren, Colston, Loveland from Michigan, Harold Fannin Jr. from Bowling Green.
You know, he's gonna go in later rounds. Okay, athletic, doesn't really block a soul. He's not an inside blocker. Catches the ball really well. Uh, he's a guy that could play that position. Uh, not as strong on him, but he is a good. He seemed like a pretty good tight end. Okay.
6'4", 230, kind of light and
Yeah, man.
yeah. Arroyo 6'4", 245. Mason Taylor, Jason Taylor's son, 6'5", 255. Which actually I read a lot about him. He's actually pretty talented. They were very limiting in what they asked him to do at LSU. And we talked about that. That's a big factor for a lot of these guys where they can be like Arroyo. He can do a lot. We saw his route running at the Senior Bowl. And then when you look at his highlights at Miami, you saw the route running a little bit, but it was mostly running seams or fly routes.
Yeah, he said Senior Bowl. I was like, I remember like, you don't get open on this whole field. You need to hit the showers, buddy. Hit it. What do you mean, coach? Yeah, you got the daggone whole field to get open. You ought to make somebody look silly and miss. No, just.
But yeah, and then I've seen some others like Gunnar Helm from Texas, Terrace Ferguson from Oregon, and yeah, the Aronde Gadsden from Syracuse. And this is interesting. Luke Lakey from Iowa. Iowa tight end? Those Iowa tight ends, man, they got something over there. No?
I watched him too, man. I know it.
Impressed?
I was, tight end you, but I think he's just a guy. I think he's okay. But I told you who I like. I told you. I thought Gasson, man. You start looking at him. I think he does well. I think Taylor, LSU. I think he's okay. He's not as athletic as I would want in a guy. But I think he'd be a good tight end. I think he'd be a good, solid guy in the NFL. But if we're looking for dynamic players, that can make plays and do all type of other things and whatnot, man. If you're not getting, Warren from Penn State, I think Arroyo is another guy. Like I said, Fanning, he's 230, so I don't know. He's not going to block a soul. I like Gasson. Gasson, he'll put his nose in there. Newt Rotten, he say, Gunner, kill him. Yeah, like him too, Newt. Send his film our way. Send his film our way, brother. Gunner, break your arm. He's silly.
So yeah, so Monday we agree tight ends. We'll pick out 6 tight ends to talk about.
Yeah, that sounds good. Sounds good.
Tasia, you got the memo, buddy. Start looking at the character concerns for the tight ends, bud. Oh man, I love messing with them.
Yeah. Character concerns. Oh man.
Yeah, when Tasia comes on, so with you and me as chief concerns, when Tasia comes on, we change, the show changes, the graphic changes to character concerns.
Character concerns.
Oh man.
Oh man. Nah, you know what? Like I said, but I also think, as far as like looking on other teams, guys and whatnot, and it's all about really, who you need. What you're actually looking for the Chiefs. Do we have enough? I'm actually excited to see where Jared Wiley is going to be and what he's going to look like. I think Noah Gray's done a good job since he's been here. Yeah, he played well in college. I thought he did a pretty decent job. We'll have to see. We'll have to see.
He remember last year we kind of talked about it, he was getting baby Kelsey comments from everybody.
I was like,
Crazy.
yeah, I was like, that's unfair to the young fellow. Don't do it to him. Don't do it to him. You know. But no, there's some talented guys out there, talented guys. But going to the whole original thing with Goddard and whatnot, I don't know if you go ahead and invest in something like that when you know you're going to have a big payday to pay him at 30-something years old. I don't know if you want to do that. So, but I like Goddard. I like him a lot. I do. I think he's a solid tight end. But he ain't going to go no less than one of the top 3 top paid tight ends when his time comes up. Shoot, nor should he.
Yeah, and the fact they want to dish him, they obviously know his price range is going to be a little too rich for them. So, yeah. So Tej says the tight ends. I don't love this class. I might have to go wide receiver. All right, Tej. Yeah, show us Jack Beck, the guy you were just talking about.
Yeah. We could do one if you want to do 2. It don't matter. You know, if you don't have anybody else, we'll go with what we go with.
Yeah.
Said Mike Brennan said Fanning has put on weight. He's over 240 now and still built like Debo. All right. Well, let's hope 10 pounds more he can still move like him.
So, yeah. I'm not a fan of the guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's a decent tight end. Something about it, I don't know. Just I'm like, okay. And the thing is, when I was coaching for the guys that came in, was going into the draft, I had some talented guys that could play tight end. One of the guys, 2 of the guys, man, I thought for sure was going to be on NFL teams, and they weren't. They made it. They got there to a certain point, and then, let me see. Hold on. 1, 2, 3. Shoot, I had 6 other guys, all good guys, man. Every single one of them, good guys. Coachable, catch the football, blocks, did everything you asked them to do. And I'm just telling you how hard it is to make it in the NFL. And so those guys did an amazing job. But some of the guys that they were expecting was going to get in didn't. So I was like, daggone, a couple of guys just didn't make it. I was like, that's unfortunate. It's unfortunate.
Did they go to the UFL?
You know what? I'm not even sure. Because I just checked NFL rosters. Because I know ultimately that's what they wanted to do.
Right.
And, if you had the skill set to get there, which I thought every single one of them did have, absolutely, I thought had a shot. A couple of them that were there at the camp when they were hurt. And so that was another thing because I realized, okay, well, look, it's, the evaluation, it's going to be off you getting better. They see what you can do on college. They've seen you film. They've done all those things. Now they're just here. I'm talking to you. I'm giving you some insight about what the NFL is all about, what they're expecting. So, but yeah, man, sometimes these things, NFL is hard. It is very difficult.
When you're in it, it doesn't last long. But taking the get in there, it's tough to get in there too.
Right. Mike, you store those receipts, buddy. Keep them.
Tej says there's some quarterbacks that weigh more than fans.
Look. Don't get me wrong. Shoot, you play tight end. I want you to make it. I hope Fanning does well.
Right.
I hope he does well. But for me and my assessment of it, I don't. And I thought about him actually, like, man, he's somebody you could actually pick up. You could actually get here at the Chiefs. Would he be a good fit? Would he be able to work as far as like with what we do? And I just seen like how they kind of ran their offense and stuff, man. He just wasn't doing anything physical, as far as blocking and stuff. Catch the football. We know you can catch. Shoot, you're supposed to be able to catch. So But we require more than that in the NFL, especially at this position, especially at this team. There's other things they want you to do.
Right, especially with this tight end position, because obviously Arroyo's not like the best blocker by any means. He has the will and the want to, which is what the scouts and the experts say.
It,
But he provides that little bit, that little zest, and a little flash with his route running, which is, I mean, hey, if you're not gonna be the best blocker, but hey, you show off those kind of skills that we do like that from our number 87. Okay, you give us a little bit of that. All right, we can work with you.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.